Every university should be launching 100 companies a year. Why aren't we doing that?
What are some ways you feel like AI has sort of changed the game?
You can create a product in a weekend. So just create it and get it out there.
Well, Dave, I so appreciate being here today. How and why did the BYU Tech Transfer Office start?
Well, so back in 1982, there's the Bayh-Dole Act, and that kind of launched the industry. And so lots of universities, because federal funding required transfer at that point, launched their offices. It actually took a few years to get going. And so I've been told that it wasn't until the early 1990s that it was really a full-fledged office. Even today, a lot of smaller offices will just have a person in the legal department that's actually doing tech transfer. But in the early 90s, we had some pretty big technologies. In the 90s, we had the first digital hearing aid, for example, and some other big ones. So they really got going.
What are some of the ways that BYU's Tech Transfer Office is different from other ones? Like
Okay.
from I'll just rephrase that. What are some ways that the BYU Tech Transfer Office is different from the offices at other universities?
Okay. Well, there are features of BYU that are different, that are unique, and then there are things that we do in the office that are different. So
Mm.
both. I genuinely believe BYU is the most entrepreneurial campus. Is it? I mean, you're a student.
I mean, look, in all my classes and off campus too, if I'm like talking to friends, I feel like I've been invited to lunches sometimes where it's like, hey, like what are some business ideas? I feel like it always comes up. So I
Yeah.
agree, yeah, for sure.
So super entrepreneurial students, and the faculty too, I think, are more entrepreneurial than usual. Great community as well. So that's an advantage. We have a lot of people, the student body overwhelmingly has lived in a foreign country for a couple of years, or at least many, and just had some real world experience that not everyone has. So we have
Mhm.
these very entrepreneurial students. And then we BYU receives a smaller percentage of federal funding than other universities. So if you have federal funding, a lot of universities kind of follow the federal government's lead on commercialization. So you get a grant, you do your reporting on that, you do a license agreement that lasts 20 years and has certain terms in it. And that's kind of the traditional model. And if it sounds slow and big and bulky, it kind of is. It's very bureaucratic. It comes directly from the government. We need that, but that's how it is. But at BYU, because fewer of our technologies are like that, we have a lot of technologies where they're sponsored from other sources. And so we're way more flexible in how we can commercialize. So we can sell technologies outright most of the time. And we don't have to, there are fewer burdens, like less red tape on startups. So we can be more flexible. So we do overwhelmingly assignments, and overwhelmingly we license to startup companies. That's what we want to do. One other major difference is just in mission. A lot of universities, tech transfers trying to generate revenue or do this or that. And obviously we generate revenue, but the goal at BYU is to serve the world. We're trying to get technologies out of publications and out there where they're helping people. So we're just launching as many companies as we can so they're out solving problems for people.
For sure. And what are some ways you feel like AI has sort of changed the game and how we implement those
Yeah.
ideas at our office?
Yeah, for us, two huge game changers in the past 2 years have been AI and social media, the way we use it. And so for AI, about 6 months ago, vibe coding, these no code programming platforms became really good. And we just jumped on that. So we started using Lovable. We did some with Bolt and some other things as well. And so this past summer, I hired 3 students to do programming. And the idea is in tech transfer generally, the closer a product is to the market, the more likely it will be to get commercialized. When we have software that's really ready to go, it almost always gets licensed like immediately. So this summer we had students preparing that. Jaden, we did an episode on that,
Yeah.
and it's a student who's very business minded can now also create products easily, and that's really changed things. When I was in grad school, the lean startup was new, and it was this idea that creating products is really expensive, so we have to do a lot of validation before we make anything. But that's not true anymore. You can create a product in a weekend, so just create it and get it out there. And so we're doing more of that, and getting professors' research closer to the market is super helpful. So that's one way that AI has changed. Also for content creation on social media, I use AI like crazy to create ideas and help generate content. And so YouTube is where we started with that. But then on LinkedIn also, we can just reach so many people so quickly. It's been great.
For sure. I mean, yeah, BYU is super entrepreneurial and it's a super great environment to be around. And I feel like that has transferred over to our office as well. What does it mean to you to run our office like a startup?
Oh yeah, so we try to be innovative and scrappy. So actually, your job, Wilson. So we've hired you, and you're a great employee, and part of it's because you're willing to do whatever. You understand the mission, and you're just willing to do whatever. So what's the range of things you've done for us?
I mean, I've done like faculty outreach to all sorts of random professors, like in the process of like reaching out to every department on campus. I've done some vibe coding myself, which is, like you said, a total game changer
Yeah.
I'm not coming from a super technical background in coding, and so it's been so awesome, and it's such a great opportunity for me to like learn more about vibe coding
Yeah.
and have experience with it. We've done some graphic design on the website, and we're prepping for a campus event here in a couple weeks. So
Yeah.
it's been awesome, sort of being a Swiss Army knife in a way,
Yeah.
doing all sorts of things. It's so fun too.
And I mean, you're very entrepreneurial and very like you just take initiative to do what we want to do. And so, for example, this is hilarious. On the way up here, you were showing me the T-shirt you had made for the upcoming period.
Hey.
Describe the T-shirt.
Well, so it's like one of those rap style t-shirts. It has like blue lightning, of course, it's BYU blue. It has like tech transfer and all caps, and then it has like a lot of the people in our office. It has like you, Bennett, Jennifer, Adam, and then a couple of our vibe coders who I honestly idolize in a way because
Yeah.
their skills are so valuable, and everything they've done to help us like automate tasks that would have taken so long. Me again, not having the traditional background on that, I think it's just the coolest thing ever. So
Yeah.
there's so much cool talent. Like I love the people here, and everybody's very cross-functional and just like works together well, I think, to sort of accomplish the mission for sure.
We'll try to find a picture of the shirt we can toss up because like headshots of the people. It's hilarious.
Pretty awesome.
But it's such a good idea.
I mean, I just was brainstorming what I wanted for this booth that we have coming up in a couple weeks, and I'm like, well, what can be an eye-catching shirt? And then I just found it on Etsy. So, and then I, scraped all your guys' pictures from LinkedIn. So yeah.
Yeah, but that's so many of our employees. Like think about Justin Maxwell or Warren or just any of them.
For sure.
Are Shaylee's fantastic, just
Yeah.
out there hustling and doing things, and so giving people just freedom, being really clear on the vision for the office, and then letting people just do whatever they think is necessary to get there
For
is
sure.
really how we're running our office. We got 5 full-time people. We probably have, I don't know, this fall we'll have again like 16 or 18 student employees probably, and student employees super important to us. But just for a small group like that, we've got to be really efficient. And have you ever seen our culture code document?
Yeah, no, I sent it out to some of like the new vibe coders that we have.
Okay, good.
I said, hey, welcome to the office. And by the way, here's a copy of our philosophy,
Yeah.
which I really appreciate too, because I feel like it can be easy to like sort of boss people around or like try to demand all of our professors and faculty to be like outputting more disclosures to us or whatever. But I'm like, no, like it's not about that. For me, it's all about creating opportunity. And that's why it's so easy for me to work here and love it. Because when I'm meeting with professors or when I'm talking about the tech transfer office with students, it's all about opportunity. Where and just in creating that for everybody is just really easy to talk about.
Yeah, and I think in our culture document we talk about there are basically 2 kinds of organizations, and this goes for departments in a university as well. There are compliance organizations, and you got to have that. You got to have a legal department, people like that, and then there are production units. So think of a lab or something creating stuff. We want to be a production unit, like we're going to create things. So yeah, that's part of the philosophy. And then let's see what else is in there. We're going to experiment constantly.
For sure.
And it's a mistake if you're not trying stuff. That's a mistake that we need to worry about. But if you're trying things and they're not working, totally fine.
For sure. And I even think about like since I've been here in January, some of the tools that we had when I first got here, when you had like some AI automation, and like First Ignite was a game changer. And I thought it was so cool that hey, like now there's an AI software that does exactly what we want it to do.
Yeah.
But now that's kind of, I don't use it as much, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm working more with vibe coders and doing more in-house outreach to like all of our professors and faculty in order to like farm more ideas and get more, like just more production capacity, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. Like when I'm talking to people or when I'm talking to ChatGPT and saying, how could we improve things in the office? People will always tell you, well, chart out your process and then optimize each point and improve the process. And the problem with that is we change our process every month.
Yeah.
Like we're really progressing. I feel like in the industry, no one's really nailed tech transfer yet. We're still figuring things out.
For sure.
So we got to be flexible, try new tools, all these things.
Well, and that's like when I'm meeting with professors too. That's one of the things I'll say pretty often is like the best thing about my job is sometimes the worst thing about my job. Like we're kind of on the cutting edge here, and so nothing's super defined. It's pretty ambiguous, but that's what makes it interesting and fun. Is then we can sit down and brainstorm and think what would make the most sense on a case by case basis, in order to create the most opportunity for students and professors and literally everyone. So
totally true. Seeing our people, like the professors and the students, do really well is awesome. Seeing our company succeed is really great. And at the end of the day, I mean, I think you'd agree, like this, we're talking about the process and how we do things, but ultimately pretty much all I care about is outcomes. And the reality is last year we probably launched, I don't know, 7 or 8 companies. And so far it's August and we've done 23 this year so far. It's a big year for us. And that's people will see that and think, oh, that's a lot of startups in one year. But wait till you see next year. Like it's directional. We're moving that way.
For sure. And I mean, with all this growth, like, what do you think the future of tech transfer will look like?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like one time I used to think I read a lot of books because I would read like a book a week.
Mm,
So that's like 50 books a year. So that's
mm,
like, oh, that's a lot. And then I read about this one guy who reads a book a day. And I thought, oh, actually you can kind of 10x things, or I guess that'd be 7x, like quite a bit. You can do a lot more. There's a great book called 10x as well.
mm.
And so what we're doing, we've got to stop the nonsense and do way more of the things that produce good output. So I would think that, I mean, every university should be launching 100 companies a year. Why aren't we doing that? So we've got to get there really fast. And that's, if every university does that, that's a huge change for the economy. And so I think that's super important. The being less bureaucratic would be nice. I think it's easy. Well, I found this when I was attorney. Like I was a
Yeah.
litigator,
Mm,
and I was willing to get into the courtroom. And a lot of attorneys, you would think you go into law because you want to be in the courtroom, but that's not true for everyone. Like people are nervous to do that because there's some stakes out there. And in tech transfer, the equivalent of that for me is sales. Like it feels really safe to file patents and do marketability studies and things like this. But what people don't like doing is sales. Therefore, that's what we need to do. Like
mhm.
we need to be out there marketing and getting the technology out. So I hope the whole industry shifts like really strongly towards marketing. And we have these amazing tools like on LinkedIn, I can get technology in front of thousands of people this afternoon if I want to. Why not just put stuff out there?
For sure. Yeah. And on my end, I met with the communications and marketing manager at
Oh, okay,
MIT's tech transfer office,
cool.
and they're thinking the same thing. Like, how can we get stuff out in front of the most people at a
Yeah.
time? And especially for the professors, how could we create the most value for them? They're the ones that are going to know the most about their technology, which is super cool.
Yeah.
But on the flip, what is your vision for how students interact with the tech transfer office?
Yeah. So this is my idea, like expressing Dave Brown's
For sure.
opinion here.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like I say, BYU is super entrepreneurial. We have what, 32,000 students or so. Say it's 8,000 a year approximately. Of those, I bet half of them at least would like to start a company. And so for as many students as want to, we should be able to serve up a really good opportunity and say, here's a technology, it's software, it's ready, it can be sold today. You take that, we've made the transaction risk-free for you. You're not going to pay us unless you make money with it. So just go take it for a drive. See if you can launch a startup company with that. So part of the vision is any student who wants to start a company should have a really easy, quick path to doing that. So we want to do that. Then for others, if you don't want to do a startup, like I'm not at a startup, I'm here working for an organization, then we should also have really good experiential opportunities for students. And BYU does, but it should just be very educational. And I want to employ a lot more students, like 16 or 18. That's great, but over time we'll scale up a little bit and be able to do more. And the vibe coders this fall. So I told you I had 3 this last summer. So I have 9 hired for this fall, and that's a step in the right direction. But I think we could do way more. So I'd like to have a big group of people actually getting our ideas closer to market.
For sure. And what do you feel like are some of the roadblocks for students trying to start businesses just in general, and how
Yeah.
we're working to overcome those here?
Yeah, so the biggest roadblock for anyone trying to start a business or anything else, I think, is just failure of imagination, lack of vision. So, like on LinkedIn yesterday, I posted this holography technology and it's done well. And we've had, I don't know, 10 or 15 people reach out to us, like very credible people, and say, look, I want to look at this technology. So that's great. That's what we wanted. But on that same post, someone else made a comment and they said, well, actually, this isn't a real hologram. And like had this argument and so on, and some other people like that. And you just ignore those kinds of comments. But it's like, posting, like telling people that you don't see the vision of something is kind of ignorant, or at least very unhelpful, right? So as an entrepreneur, when you're looking at technologies, it doesn't do you or anyone else good to say, oh, that'll never work. It's like, maybe not for you, but it might for someone else. And I remember in 2012, I was doing this presentation to a group of entrepreneurs. And so I was presenting the object recognition technology that DJ Lee and his students had invented. And I remember a couple of entrepreneurs in the audience kind of like rolling their eyes, shaking their head, like what I was saying was a really dumb idea. But and for them it didn't come to anything for them. I don't even remember who they were actually, but some other entrepreneurs took it and created a business that did really awesome things and was acquired and has done well. And so it's just as an entrepreneur, you have to have vision. You have to know what you're going to add. figure out when you talk to someone really good, like a Corbin Church or someone like that, when you're presenting an opportunity to them, you can see the wheels turning and they're thinking, how is this an awesome opportunity? So you need to look at things like that and figure out how to get there rather than just say no to things.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess with that too, what are some like life lessons or personal lessons you feel like you've learned as a result of working here?
Oh yeah, I think it's hard to know what spills into your life. So I think one lesson is that there are so many opportunities. There are so many great things in the world you can do. There's just not even enough time to do them. So you have to prioritize and you have to think, okay, what really matters? What are we really going to do? So in tech transfer, I don't think you necessarily go after the biggest dollar opportunities. I think you go after the ones that are most likely to make it and make a difference in the world, if that makes sense, subtle difference there. And then so you have to decide what to pursue. And then that experimental mindset, I think I use that in all parts of my life. That's super helpful. And then I've really come to just value people more. Like I was coming from legal profession. Like I'm kind of academic, kind of reserved, whatever. And so networking always seemed uninteresting to me. Like going to a cocktail party, like talking to like one line sentences to strangers just seemed like a nightmare to me. But I've come to really change my attitude on that. I definitely see people as a huge opportunity. Everyone you meet, I'm thinking, what's interesting or special or the opportunity with this person. And I think that's a good place to be.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
And like working here too, we have so much reach, or just association with other people. And it's always like, it's fun. I feel like people are where it's at, especially as it aligns with our mission, like bringing opportunity and, helping others on like a BYU sort of vibe. So
Yeah. And most people are doing their best and want to do good things. And so if you can just find a way to make that happen, do it.
how do you feel like our tech transfer office could change if we started focusing less on getting patents and focus more on funding startups?
Yeah, I think we're down that pathway a little bit. The in the past 2 years, if you look, I think our volume has increased, but our actual patenting activity has probably decreased slightly. And part of the reason for that is software has been a growth area. And so with software, I'll just tell you economically how I see it. Like ideally, what you would have when you license software is an issued patent, then you license the software, and you're going to get paid a premium for that because they can, whoever licenses it can exclude other people from doing it. If you license someone just software with no patent, they'll say, well, I could create this on my own, so I can only pay you what it would cost to program it myself. That's a common conversation to have. So ideally, would have an issued patent, but for many types of software, they're just not super patentable. So you want to just create that and license out maybe with minimal patent protection in place. So I'm more willing to do that than in the past. I do think anytime you're patenting and tech transfer, you're guessing what the future product would be because the technology is still at the university. There is no company. And like we just got recently this Bloom origami technology. You've probably seen that Bennett's handling that, but it's from the Compliant Mechanisms Lab and it's cool. It's really amazing. And so I was brainstorming like 100 different things you could do with it. There are a lot of different product areas. And right now you don't know what product that's going to be yet. And knowing what the product is should completely control your patenting strategy. And so I always say that when you're patenting, it's expensive. So have a strategy. And for a startup company, you're going to know what you should protect and what you shouldn't. But here at the university, we're just guessing what a future licensee might want. And so you don't want to spend too much money making those kinds of guesses. You have to patent things, like we do that. But one way to deal with it, what many universities are trying to do is just get things out the door as fast as possible. So improved marketing is helping us do that, probably controlling costs. And then for us, kind of secret weapon that I mentioned earlier is outright sales. If you can assign ownership to the licensee or the assignee in that case, then they're in charge of patenting. They own the patent. It's on their balance sheet. They're going to make all those decisions. So the university doesn't have to guess or be in the middle or anything like that.
For sure. And I guess how, in what ways do you feel like it's been effective to like work with the professors to make sure that they're actually outputting things that aren't just going to get put on a shelf? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So professors, academics generally, not just our university, everywhere, I think are a little bit more open now to feedback from the market for people to say, look, here's an actually commercially usable line of research. Professors are still going to do what's interesting to them and do cutting edge thing. And definitely universities uniquely do basic research that you couldn't do in the marketplace. So that's good. But you see, especially in pharmaceuticals, those companies have pushed more and more of their research into universities. So that is direct market input that's coming to professors. So yeah, I think it is good. We've had meetings before with professors and industry people to say, okay, what are the problems? We're kind of working on this. Does that actually make sense? So if the idea is that if you hit it earlier, like if you talk to them at the problem phase, and you and I have discussed this, then you avoid waste on maybe research that could never be a product. And but if professors want to do something super speculative or whatever, that's fine. We'll just some are willing to take that input.
Yeah, for sure.
So let me ask you then, Wilson, what's been your favorite thing you've worked on at Tech Transfer?
I mean, I feel like I'm less focused on like the technologies, but I just like the website's been cool to change
Yeah.
because it was pretty unreadable before. And just the different projects associating with different professors, like interdisciplinarily, if that's a word,
Yeah.
has been the coolest part for me because I get to sit down with professors who know so much about stuff that I don't know,
Yeah.
and we're all aligned in the same goal. And I'm just trying to help them understand the resources available to them in a way that's like pretty low key and no pressure. And so I have just really appreciated that because anybody can be an inventor, and it's fun sort of like beating the bushes and exploring to see what other ideas people have. Like we had Professor LeBaron Black from the Family Life, and someone who probably wouldn't traditionally fit the mold of business person or like software inventor, but with through our office, she's like, hey, like let's create an app for couples to start having better conversations about their financials, because she's doing research on how that can strengthen marriage relationships. And so it's cool. It's like help people see that. And I also met with Matt Durnan. He's the chair of our experience design management department a couple weeks ago. And I had a similar conversation with him, and he's like, yeah, I wrote a book about like designing experiences. And it was cool to tell him like, hey, with chat or any AI, you can just prompt it to come up with app ideas. And I mean, you're the professional here. You can give it feedback back, and you can find more opportunities for yourself and just for your students or whoever's interested in licensing this type of thing in order to just create more opportunity and share all what he's researched, which I think has just been awesome.
Yeah, totally. So you tell entrepreneurs that to start a business, you need to identify a pain point and have a solution, right? So these professors have those things, like all of them, all over campus, whether it's Family Life or anywhere else. They've spotted problems and they know what needs to be done, but they may or may not think of themselves as inventors. So that's why we can reach out to them and say, okay, we'll help you create the thing. So that's been really great. It's nice, I think, for me too, but as a student employee, it's nice to just have an excuse to go talk to a bunch of smart people.
For sure.
So people around the campus, just go talk to people in different disciplines, see what they're doing. What do you think professionally you're going to do, Wilson?
So I'm in this global supply chain management program, and I'm thinking probably a master's. I'm really interested in design as well. So I've been looking at like dual master's degrees, but I definitely want to stay in like the manufacturing supply chain space. I just like seeing how things are made and where they come from and how they're built. And just like, I like the process of creation, honestly, too.
Yeah.
It's just awesome things. I've taken some design classes, and it's cool to understand where things come from and why the things that we have are the way they are, and being able to influence that in any small way, especially in like a company environment, I think would be amazing. So just navigating, I don't know for sure. I kind of put together different aspects of what I want, and I'm just kind of taking it as I go.
That's cool. Well, and so talking to people in all different disciplines can only help, right?
Yeah.
And then what comes across there too is like, I think a good fit for tech transfer is someone who's intellectually curious and likes creating things.
For sure.
And that's kind of what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, and that's honestly one of the main reasons why I like working here is I can come up with an idea and come to you or Bennett or whoever and just like, hey, like this is what we should do. I have this crazy idea for a t-shirt, and I just kind of went for it. This is something I'm like really bought into and really like, because it's cutting edge and like there's new stuff, and I'm not just a student employee like a security guard or something. Bless them. Thank you, security guards.
Right.
But I feel like I can kind of explore and have opportunities to like search out new solutions and come up with new things. So that's like another reason why I really like that, and one thing I hope to have in a future career as well.
Yeah, they say, mentor types will say work to learn. Like you get jobs, they'll teach you things. And so I think hopefully tech transfer is one of those.
And yeah, Dave, it's honestly been great. I see you all the time at the office, but this is my first time here. I feel like so professional now, being up here and, getting filmed and stuff. So thanks for inviting me and for everything that you've shared.
Yeah, you're super professional, Wilson. Thanks for doing the
Yeah,
I appreciate your insights too.
okay, for sure. See ya.
Yep.